Hello and welcome to the final edition of the Spike Ridgley Show for this season. I'm your host, Dave Sheets, and with me is the manager of the Massillon Tiger baseball team, Spike Ridgley. We want to thank our season-long sponsor, Ryan Prosser and D. Hoff Realtors. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Spike, I know last night your Tigers faced Boardman in the Division I tournament opener. The Tigers lost 2-1 in 9 innings, finished the season at 14-13, and we were talking before the cameras started rolling, and obviously a very, very difficult loss.
Yeah, in all my time of doing this, and it's fresh right now, being the day after, I think that I put that right up there. That's probably, in fact, that probably is the hardest one that I've ever been a part of, just because of the way the kids played. They played so well last night and really had an opportunity to win, and it just didn't work out for us.
Well, Boardman got a run in the top of the ninth, and then you were telling me you loaded the bases, nobody out, had a situation where you could win the game, and just didn't happen.
No, and it's just, the kids had been hitting, you got to tip your cap to that pitcher. He pitched the entire game for them, and he was throwing well, but we were hitting him, and we were hitting him hard for several innings, really, for probably the last 3 to 4 innings. We led that inning off once we had the bases loaded with Caden Patches, who just had a hard single to left field his previous time up, and really, honestly, I felt very good about the prospects of that inning, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Your starting pitcher, Zach Seifert, went 5 innings. Aiden Longwell came in relief, pitched 4 strong innings. Those two guys obviously did a great job.
Yeah, Zach. All year long, Zach's been throwing the toughest games of the year for us. So his record doesn't look the best when you look at his overall record. But he has given us a chance in every game that he's pitched, and he did it again last night. I mean, we took him out, and he made it through 5. We had the leadoff guy got on in the 6th, and I was near certain they were going to bunt. And it was time to make the change at that point, just to get Aiden on the mound right there and have an opportunity to maybe improve our defense for the bunt prospects. And Luke Sabo ended up making a pretty good play behind the plate right there and throwing the guy out. But yeah, Aiden came in and he threw another 4 strong innings. I mean, honestly, if you scripted it out, if you'd have told me we were going to get that type of pitching performance from those 2 guys yesterday, I would have just signed me up every time.
I'm sure as you gathered the team around you after the loss, it was a difficult scene. Can you share with us maybe some of the things you told the team?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel very emotional about it right now, just thinking about it, because. And I told them afterwards, I don't know if I've been more proud of a team than the way that they played last night. And I just told them if there was anything else I could have done for them, I promised them I would have, because they were giving everything that they gave, that they had. And it was a very emotional post-game huddle last night, simply because I saw these guys take their level of focus and their level of desire and their level of kind of playing for each other. They really took it to another level last night, and for me, there's nothing more proud of as a coach to watch than just the way that they competed for 9 innings, start to finish, and it just rips your heart out as a coach that just cares about his kids so much. And I just wasn't much sleep last night, and it's still trying to process it, and it's going to be a while.
Now, since last week's show, your team got on a roll. You had won 3 straight games. You beat Kirtland, you beat Northwest, you beat Green. You got some good pitching and some timely hitting. So going into last night's game, you had to feel pretty confident.
No doubt about it. I mean, and you go to the previous game, the one right before that, we guys started to string a few together, and we were close. We were playing a Dover team they're 21-3. We got a lead in the 6th inning. It's 2-1. And then it started to fall apart a little bit. And we talked as a group after that game. We're close, man. We got to find a way to focus for 7 straight innings. And then the kids started doing it. I mean, back-to-back games, really 4 in a row that they did it. Just didn't work out for us last night. But, we beat a Kirtland team that's 14th in the state for Division III. And they were having a great year. I think they were like 14-4. But And then you go into Friday, and the kids, I don't think I even shared this with the kids, but Friday night we played Northwest, who had won, I think, 8 in a row. And we put a nice game together that night. And then the big one was Glen Oak on Saturday. That's the 2 seed. And just what an outstanding game our kids put together. I mean, just 7 innings. And so as a coaching staff, we knew, which is why it's so disappointing right now, we knew that we had everything was lining up how you would want it to. Because to be honest with you, we were not playing like a young team any longer towards the end of the year there. And I told, like I said last night in the paper, we are a much better team. We were a much better team yesterday than we were even 2 weeks ago.
Very good. We'll talk more with Coach, and we'll visit with a Tiger player in a moment. But first, this word from Ryan Prosser and DeHoff Realtors.
Hi, I'm Ryan Prosser with DeHoff Realtors, specializing in lifestyles, not just homes. Finding a realtor who understands the ins and outs of a home while also taking the time to listen to your wants and needs is important. With over 20 years experience in home remodeling, I have the knowledge to help you buy or sell a home with confidence.
Choose my daddy to be your realtor.
And thanks to Ryan Prosser and DeHoff Realtors, and welcome back to the Spike Ridgley Show. The Tiger player joining us this week is sophomore catcher Luke Sabo. Luke, I see that you had 2 of your team's hits, 8 hits last night in the game. Describe for us your emotions after the loss.
It was a tough loss for sure. We played super hard. It was a 9-inning game, so outcome was a little disappointing. We ended up on the raw deal of it, but it was a great game between both teams. We played a solid game defensively and offensively, so it was one of them games where after you think about different situations and plays, you know, but at the end of the day, gotta learn from it, and we'll use it as motivation for next year.
What positives are you able to take away from the season?
Really, at the beginning of the season, you know, we would win 2 games and, you know, maybe lose 1, and then win 1, lose 1, and then at the end we really started clicking. We really started figuring each other out, and that desire to win and focus became consistent with each other. So I think that's why the loss yesterday was so disappointing, because things really did start coming together for us. But we got a lot of guys coming back next year, so that's beneficial to us. So we got a lot of us young guys. We got a lot of experience out in the field and play. So we'll be sure to carry that with us next year.
Now, as a sophomore, what did you feel your role was on this year's team?
On the defensive side, vocally, I feel like, you know, I played some situations out in the field, reminded our guys, you know, where the plays were, how many outs, stuff like that. And offensively, I feel like I could, you know, change the game with one swing. I feel like even though I had some struggles throughout the season trying to find where I was with my swing, I feel like my swing where it was at now, I feel like I could change the game with one swing.
Now, I know you're a pretty tall guy and you play on the basketball team, and you don't see a lot of tall catchers. What kind of skills do you possess that make you a quality catcher?
I think I have some good range to balls. I can get around pretty quickly, but also I think I have a decent arm to, you know, help my pitchers and my players out to get us maybe out of a jam and throw some guys out.
And finally, what areas of your game will you be working on in the off season to get better?
For sure, every aspect of the game, hitting, you know, hitting each side of the field. That's because that was where I struggled a little bit this year, but taking the ball in every direction, and also just being a well-rounded catcher as well, doing everything I can to help my pitcher out, help my team.
All right. Sophomore Luke Sabo, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Coach Ridgley, tell us more about Luke and his contributions to the team.
Yeah, you know, I agree with really everything he just said right there. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring him on the show, yes, he had a good game last night, so you know, you do think about that, and he had a couple of huge hits for us, you know. But I think at the end of the day, I really think And I have Luke sitting here because I think he's going to be one of the leaders on the team next year. And as you can hear, just the way he kind of carries himself and speaks, I think you can see that he's a voice that the guys, I think, will listen to in the locker room. And he's a confident guy, has a little bit of swagger to him on the field, and you need that. Your group needs that. And I was very pleased with his progression throughout the year, because I do agree with you. I think, earlier on he had to battle through some struggles at the plate, which sometimes happens when you're a young guy getting a lot of reps, where we would sit him down for a day or two and he would catch and not hit, but then we'd filter him back in there again, and he just always kept a positive attitude about it. And really, towards the end, the last few games, became one of our best hitters. So, just for instance, in last night's game, when we had bases loaded and one out, I knew I had him on deck. After whatever happened on that second out, he was standing there. So I was making sure to manage the game at that point, where we were not going to get 2 outs in one play, because I needed to make sure he was going to get to hit last night with the bases loaded, and he did. It just didn't work out like it did before. But in the 7th inning, he had a huge hit for us, and you got to credit Boardman. They come up and throw a guy out at the plate. So. But I'm really looking forward. I'm very excited to have him back, as well as the core group of this team. And when you say core, I mean we're going to have 8 guys, eight starters back next year.
The last out of the last game is always difficult, because you know that it's the end of the line for the seniors. What impact did this senior class have on your program?
This senior class was the first class that's gone all the way through with us. This is the end of my 4th year here, and I told those guys when I walked or met them shortly after I was hired, that we were going to be around for them for the long haul. And it's nice to watch those guys be successful. They had a pretty successful run in 4 years. And they were the ambassadors of the culture that we were trying to create, and they do things right in the classroom, and they contributed on the field, and those are the guys that we want in our program, and those are the guys you can depend on, whether it's baseball or whether they get out into the real world. You figure we have 3 guys, seniors, that were in the top 25. So that's something that we would like to continue to see. But I'm very proud of them. And like last year's group, you really start to make some special bonds with those guys, and they'll be missed. But when they reach out later in life, because of their contributions and commitment level here, if they need something from me, they'll get it.
Well, I know it's difficult to turn the page, but looking ahead to next year and your schedule for next year, it's kind of early in the game, but do you see your schedule changing much?
I don't think so. I mean, at being an independent, I'll go to work on the schedule right as soon as school's out. A lot of guys aren't even started yet. We're their first game that they schedule. We try to do that because we want to make sure that we get those games that are going to help us. And like I told you at the beginning of the year, we try to make sure that we have a schedule that every single game you go into, that it's a formidable opponent that can beat you. And that's going to make us better. We'll still have that mix of long trips. Actually, I think it's Ignatius's turn to come here, so that'll be good. We won't have to make that trip next year, but they'll be on the schedule, and it'll be very similar. And with these guys being able to go through and experience that the first time, I think, the biggest thing is I'm really looking forward to. He said that they want to make a commitment to their focus level and doing that repeatedly, and I'm really looking forward to you guys taking on that challenge.
And finally, what goes on in the off season for both the coaches and the players?
Yeah, the players will start. They'll go out for summer ball. We'll have some kids play here, but a lot of them play travel ball as well. The biggest thing for us is that everybody's playing a lot of baseball in the summertime, and we'll have the kids back on Mondays and Wednesdays. We eat lunch together here. It's really nice. The school puts on a free lunch. I think we go at 11:45, and then we'll lift weights. And then sometimes we'll do some baseball activities after that. we're allowed to do the 4-player training and such. And then in the evening times on Mondays, we'll bring the guys back, and we'll probably end up using one of our 10 instructional days on Mondays. So it's an important time of the year for us for sure. It's really nice with the way that the basketball program and the football program, we all work together to kind of share the athletes in the summertime. So all 3 programs end up getting a lot of work done, and we're looking forward to getting back to work. I'll probably give the guys a couple of weeks off. We won't start that till June.
Very good. Well, Coach, I know it's been a difficult morning. We appreciate your time. It's been great having you on this season. As we wrap up the final edition of the Spike Ridgley Show for this season, we want to thank Ryan Prosser and DeHoff Realtors for sponsoring our program. Thanks to Coach Ridgley all season. Today, sophomore catcher Luke Sabo for joining us as well. I'm your host, Dave Sheets. Thank you for watching the Spike Ridgley Show, and as always, go Tigers.